So hey everybody on YouTube, this is Michael Clark, and today we're going to be going over Matthew 3, 13 through 17, talking about the humility of John the Baptist and Jesus Christ, along with is Jesus God, and how we should apply that to our own lives, okay? And so, as you probably assumed from my channel and also me reading the Holy Bible, I do believe that Jesus is God, but we're also going to look at a couple of different text within, the Gospels that say that Jesus actually proclaimed to be God himself. So, starting off, we're going to read Matthew 3, 13 through 17. Then Jesus came from Galilee to John at the Jordan to be baptized by him. And John tried to prevent him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, talking to Jesus, and are you coming to me? But Jesus answered and said to him, Permit it to be so now. For thus it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he allowed him. When he had been baptized, Jesus came up immediately from the water, and behold, the heavens were opened up to him. And he saw the Spirit of God descending on him like a dove, and alighting upon him. And suddenly a voice came from heaven, saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. So, if you've seen my last video before this, we'll also know that John the Baptist has a really big following at this point. He's a little bit of an outcast, so it's a little bit of a weird dynamic. But also, he has this big following. He's already calling out the leaders and the Pharisees and Sadducees, calling them brood of vipers. But, since he has this big following, he also, with some people, that can easily get to their head and cause them to get prideful. Just look at any celebrities or anyone in your school that's, a jock or, politician or whatever it is. If they have power and influence, it can get to their head sometimes. And John the Baptist had both of these. And so, think about this when Jesus comes to him. Jesus comes to him, says, I need to be baptized by you. And John's like, no, I'm not worthy. Even though he has this huge following, he has such high regard for Jesus that he doesn't want to be baptized by him because he wants to be baptized by him, not baptize Jesus himself. So think of it this way: a lot of us in our everyday life, we'll get mad at someone or think that we're better than someone for 1,000 different reasons. You could be at work and someone just not be working as much as you are, and you think that you are better than them, or in grades or in school or whatever it is that you're doing. You may think that you're better than them, or maybe not consciously, like just out there saying I'm better than you, but because they're not trying to help you in any way or get do as much work as you get mad. And that's our pride talking. But we need to be like John the Baptist and Jesus Christ and be humble at that, and just be humble and not get mad over small inconveniences. For Jesus, this was to be done to fulfill prophecy if you go out into the Old Testament. And so now that we've talked about that, we're going to talk about how Jesus Christ is actually God. And say that in the very first, chapter of Matthew, Gabriel is talking to Mary and says that she's going to bring forth a son, and his name is going to be Emmanuel, which means, translated, God with us. So already he's referencing a book in Isaiah in the Old Testament that everyone in Jewish society read at the time and still today. And so everyone would know this verse. And so he's already proclaiming that Jesus is going to be God himself. I mean, you're not going to say that someone's going to be Emmanuel, God with us if you're not actually God. You see what I'm saying? But also here, it talks about when he's baptized. He's 30 years old at this point, Jesus is. He's never sinned a day in his life. If he had, there would have been other friends of his that would have refuted this when he started his ministry, would have refuted this when he went to be baptized, and refuted this whenever, Christianity officially kind of sprung out after his death and resurrection, but no one did, because no one could pinpoint a point in his life that he actually did sin. But it says, when he had been baptized, Jesus came up immediately from the water. He wasn't, sprinkled. He was dunked in the water and came back up. And behold, the heavens were opened up to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting upon him. And suddenly a voice came from heaven saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." So you have to think about this. In our modern times, we can be very tricky. We could have a booming voice, with microphones and stereos. But back then they didn't have any of that, and they were in a river, okay, just being baptized. And he comes up, and the clouds open, or the heavens, depending on your translation. And a dove, the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, descends on Jesus like a dove, just slowly coming down on him. And God the Father says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Coming from the sky, coming from heaven, this is coming from. It's not coming from the distance where someone could be, tricking him, doing some weird, sound tricks. It's actually coming from God himself. And so this is one evidence of his divinity, of his godship, Jesus Christ. And also you look at, after he died and, was resurrected, Matthew 28, the Great Commission, go out into the world, make disciples of all men in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. He's talking about the Trinity, but right before that, he says that all authority on heaven and on earth has been given to him, to Jesus Christ. And so we look at this and we have to think, okay, we have to at least admit that he admitted that he was Jesus Christ, that he was God. But he died and was resurrected. I don't know about you, but I don't know any, people that have died and then came back to life after 3 days. Like, they made sure of it. The Roman guards that were there to make sure of death, because they were the instructors of death, they were professionals in war and death. They stabbed him and they knew he was dead. But he rose again 3 days later, and he was walking around for 40 days with his disciples. And then he says that he's God. He says that he has all authority on heaven and earth. So when we look at this, that God himself didn't see it as prideful, didn't see it as, beneath him to come down to our level, below the angels, to become flesh. John 1:1, in the beginning there was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then the Word became flesh, talking about Jesus Christ. And so he became flesh. He became like us in our everyday life. He became human. And still was decided that he wanted to be able to, relate to us, and got baptized. And so remember, at the end of the day, we need to be humble. We need to love God. We need to love others. And one of the great ways that we can do that is to be humble and not immediately lash out in anger whenever our pride's hurt, or immediately, just think that someone's, less than us because of either, mental, illness, or, just, on the surface things. So thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions about the Bible, or questions for me, just comment, message me if you can, and I'll try to answer them as well as I can. Remember, this channel is for all of us, so that all of us can continue to learn more about God, learn about the Word, and just have a great day. Bye.